Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Creating Madness. I am your host, Ethan Carboni. We're in the middle of a great night of basketball. We started a bit late with the stream today. If you're watching this post Thursday night, won't really affect anything. I just got home. I was at a basketball game myself. I was screaming, but still have a lot of energy. And we're just going over the bracketology. Nothing huge. And then we're going to look at all the conferences and just project the conference tournament winner, even though the brackets have not set yet for any of them. But looking at Joe Lunardi's bracket, last updated 222 according to this site, and top seed Gonzaga, same as last week. First team out, SMU. Last team in, San Diego State. On the bubble, 8 through 6 out. St. Bonnie, Oregon, Kansas State, Florida. 4 through 1, Dayton, Oklahoma, BYU, SMU. Then you go to the last four in: San Diego State, Memphis, Indiana, Michigan. Last four byes: San Francisco, Creighton, UNC, and Miami. The bubble has these 16 teams as of Lunardi's, and looking at it from this perspective of Indiana and Michigan, Indiana finally got a win tonight. They might be moving up because San Francisco probably will lose to Gonzaga tonight. Creighton lost their best player. It's really anyone's game. I think the only one that's set right now, the last four byes, might be Miami, but we'll see. Especially because Florida, Oregon, St. Bonnie, SMU, BYU, they're all fighting. And then you have Michigan, Memphis, and Creighton, who are just hanging on to the last strings there. 68-team bracket. 16 seeds. You have UNC Wilmington, New Orleans in the first four, as well as Norfolk State and Texas Southern. I'd take Texas Southern and I'd take UNC Wilmington. I mean, just because the historical value of those two programs. I mean, I've not watched a whole lot of basketball for those conferences. If I'm being 100% honest, I like the mid-majors, but I like the mid-majors where I know a team will actually be realistic with my hopes of a bracket. And then moving in to the actual part of the bracket, you have Gonzaga versus 16 seed UNC Wilmington. Gonzaga, I think that's very fair to move on to Colorado State, Notre Dame. Here's my thing with this game. You look at Colorado State, David Roddy has been borderline unstoppable. Then you go to look at Notre Dame, and you go look at the stats of just their last game. Paul Atkinson is their guy. But then you also have guys like Nate Lezerowski, and then you also have Cormac Ryan. You have numerous guys that can score. However, it would just be unfair to pick against David Roddy and the Rams. They have been damn near unstoppable. They beat Wyoming. Yes, it was at home. However, it'll be tough for them. We'll say that. Moving in to Alabama and North Texas. Last week when we went over North Texas, very even distributed scoring, very good defense. Then you have Alabama, which is a team that is known for being very inconsistent. Shackelford knocks down his threes. Quinterly knocks down his threes. I'm not going to be too worried about that Alabama team. Although this North Texas team is a team that did upset Purdue last year. I take Alabama, but I would not be surprised if that was a 5-12 upset this year. Then moving into UCLA, South Dakota State, all-around scoring team versus chuck-up threes. UCLA is a great scoring team. they've gotten a lot more efficient. I mean, like right now, they are currently playing Oregon, and they are just down 25-21. They're still 5:30 in the first half. So we'll see what happens in that game. Then moving in to the next round, because I think I'd probably have to take the favorite in UCLA. You have USC and Creighton. I think it's fair to suggest that USC should win this, especially because if I'm looking at Creighton, Creighton's not in the best spot for right now. And that will be because of one thing that happened, which is having Ryan Hawkins having to go up against that Isaiah Mobley-led defense of USC. I think realistically, USC very well could dominate this game. Creighton very well could get hot at any point throughout this game and make it a close game. However, I think I'm just going to say USC would win it, and then you move into the next round. Then you have Wisconsin, New Mexico State. New Mexico State has dominated the WAC this year. The WAC is a very good conference. However, Johnny Davis in Wisconsin. Johnny Davis can be inconsistent at times. However, if we're being 100% realistic here, he shows up against teams that are lesser. I just don't see a way in which Wisconsin would lose this game. Of course, it's March Madness. If this game were to take place, we know probably who would win it. But at the same time, you never know. Then you move into San Diego, where Boise State plays North Carolina. You have an excellent defensive team in Boise State. Boise State has really been just knockout so far. They have played some of the best basketball I've seen. The Mountain West Conference has been incredible. And then you get to looking at UNC. If Armando Bacot got hot, Caleb Love gets hot, I don't think Boise State could stop him. However, that's saying if they got hot. I think they do. I take North Carolina, but this game would be probably my favorite 7-10 game out of the bunch. Moving into Texas Tech, Long Beach State. Texas Tech should win this by a landslide. Their defense is so good that I don't see many teams stopping them. I have Texas Tech in my Final Four. Personally, right now, if I had to lock one team in to make it. Then we move on to the next region where we got Auburn, Norfolk State, or Texas Southern. I already said Texas Southern. Yeah, give me Auburn for obvious reasons here. I mean, come on. And then you move into the next, which is Iowa State, Wake Forest. Alondes Williams has been near All-American, realistically, if it wasn't for some of the incredible guard play from team players like Johnny Davis, I'd have to say would be an all first team, all second team, maybe all third at worst, but I'll take Wake Forest in this matchup. Isaiah Brockington is incredible. I think him and Alondes Williams are probably realistically, because this is how the AP voters and voters will vote. I'd say that Wake Forest will have I'd say Brockington ends up beating Williams for that spot, but I think Alondes Williams would lead Wake Forest into the win, personally. Then moving into Ohio State, Iona. can Rick Pitino get the job done versus a team that is one of the best freshmen in the country in Miles Branham, a team that has one of the best players in the country overall in E.J. Liddell? I'd say star power takes this game, personally, because realistically, E.J. Liddell is just too good. Right now, you see them, Ohio State, battling against Illinois. They actually have the lead in the second half right now, 40-37. But anything can happen in college basketball. And looking at it through the lens of that, you move into Providence, Vermont. The Catamounts have been the best team in the American East this year for a long shot. Then you move up against Providence, which has won the Big East practically. All they have to do is win their next game. Realistically, Providence should win the game. I take Vermont over Providence here. I don't have many people going far, and I just think that if you're Vermont, if you can force Providence into ugly situations like you've done with the entire conference all year, you get the win. And then you move into Arkansas versus Michigan or Memphis. And realistically, I take Memphis in that matchup. I'm not sure who I would take. We got a quote from Juwan Howard on our Instagram. Go check that out if you want, @_creating madness. So I'll take Michigan in that matchup over Memphis, and I'll take Arkansas over Michigan. Because I don't think Michigan has a guard that's going to be able to stop J.D. Notae. Then you move into the 3-14 seed. And is there any way that you can say Princeton beats Duke? I mean, looking at it from the fact of Duke has some of the best freshmen in the country. They have some of the best veterans. And then you get into Princeton. There's Jalen Llewellyn. While Princeton should win the Ivy tournament, it's not realistic that they beat Duke. Of course, this is March Madness, yada, yada, yada. Anything could happen. However, I do not believe, with a single bone in my body, that Princeton would win a game no matter what 1, 2, 3, or 4 seed that they would be up. 1, 2, 3, or 4 seed they'd play. Maybe they could, but in my opinion, I don't think they have a shot in hell. But never know. Marquette, TCU, Justin Lewis has been all Big East quality. And TCU, who's, according to Lenardi, not in the bubble. I think that they're more in the bubble spot than they are in here. However, anything's possible. I'm thinking right now that if we were to sit down and look at this bracket, and you were to tell me out of Marquette and TCU who would go further, Marquette for obvious reasons, such as they have the best defense in the Big East, with the combination of having incredible perimeter play and even better paint play. And then a huge part of that, obviously, is going to have to be looking at the likes of last year's Big Ten all-defensive player in Daryl Morsell. He's been near unstoppable at times. And I think that you got to look at it through the lens of star power versus minimal star power. Purdue, Colgate. If this was the Colgate of last year, I might have said maybe Colgate. I don't think Colgate would be able to stop Purdue's offense. I think they might be able to keep up, but that might being able to keep up will be within 15 points. I'd take Purdue in a heartbeat. Then as we move into the final two sections, Arizona, Longwood, Arizona by a mile, Seton Hall, Wyoming. Wyoming's been slightly falling off a cliff. Not enough to where it's a huge thing, but they're falling off. Then you have Bryce Aiken, Seton Hall. Yeah, I'll take the Cowboys here. Not by much, but it's really, can Seton Hall hit the three? I think Hunter Maldonado of Wyoming will be able to have a big game against them. So I'll take Wyoming. Then moving into Texas, Davidson. Is there any way that we see Texas lose this, in my opinion? I think that there's no way that we see Texas lose to Davidson here. Davidson is such a high-powered offense. And Texas doesn't have the highest-powered offense. They have a great defense. They have one of the top 5 defenses in the country. I don't think they could stop Davidson, though. I think looking at it from the statistical and just eye test, Davidson is my pick to go on a run this year if they didn't have to play the likes of Tennessee in the next round. Because you got Tennessee, Chattanooga. I take Tennessee in that matchup. It pains me to pick against the Mocs, but they're not doing too good now. I won't be surprised if they don't make it at this rate, but you never know. And I think having the star power, Muscovy, Chandler, I think Tennessee would be able to get right past Chattanooga here. Then you move into LSU, Loyola, Chicago. Loyola's moving into that bubble territory. They're right above it. I think that this may be I think Loyola Chicago is going to get in because of their name. I'll put it like that. Unless they won the Missouri Valley Conference tournament, they only get in because of their name. That's just my opinion, though. Anything's possible. However, I would have to go with LSU here. Tari Eason has been on a tear lately. LSU's a 6 seed here. They're a 6 seed at the minimum. They could get all the way up to a 3 seed potentially. And yeah, looking at the other side of the bracket, Illinois, Texas State. Illinois should win that in a heartbeat. I would only pray that they don't have to play Loyola Chicago after what happened last year. As we move into Xavier, Rutgers. Xavier, just because I don't think Rutgers can play good on the road. I mean, both of these teams are traveling a while. You have Xavier from Cincinnati, Rutgers from New Jersey, having to travel to Fort Worth in this matchup. Xavier should win it. However, if Rutgers has the energy, if Rutgers fans travel all the way from New Jersey, all the way from New York, all the way from wherever, and they sit themselves down in Fort Worth, it would be an interesting game. I think that would be a big blowout, though, personally, for me. I think Xavier. Baylor, Montana State. If Baylor were to lose this, the amount of disrespect that they would get from everybody would be incredible. I think Baylor should dominate this. Montana State's a good team, but it's not the Big Sky's year. Kansas, Cleveland State. The Horizon took a drop off this year from what I was hyping it up to be, if I'm being 100% honest. I thought that the Horizon was going to have a 13 or a 14 seed. They're beating each other up bad. If I see Cleveland State as a 15 seed or a 14 seed, maybe I'd have them pull off the upset. However, you're going up against Kansas. Not looking too good. Kansas should be able to destroy them. St. Mary's, Murray State. This is the best Murray State team we've ever seen. And that's a fact just because they've been so utterly dominant. And you go and you just looking at how well Murray State has played so far today. They're up 62-33 on Belmont, a team this was supposed to be a competitive game. And who else but KJ Williams, 26 points on 11 of 17 shooting. I don't know what else you could expect. It's just dominance from KJ Williams. And that's exactly what he would do against a team like St. Mary's. UConn would play either Indiana or San Diego State. I think San Diego State's defense would be too much for Indiana to handle. However, Sonogo, RJ Cole, I think they could get past the defense of the Aztecs. Realistically, they definitely should be able to. I mean, they've been incredible this year. That's the only Big East team I think I have maybe getting past the Sweet 16 is UConn. But we'll see. Houston, Toledo in a heartbeat. And here's why. Houston injury problems are finally catching up to them. And as for Toledo, or really any MAC team in the top 3 of the conference that gets here, but especially Toledo, Ryan Rollins is a beast. And then you add 3 other players that are averaging more than 12 points a game. I don't think the Houston Cougars can stop that at all. I think that Houston relies so much on their offense that if it's a shootout, I take Toledo. Moving in, Michigan State, San Francisco. Well, my prediction is going to really depend on how well San Francisco is doing tonight. Because you're looking at a team that was in it very much so against Gonzaga. Now they've fallen off a bit now. They're down. But you know what? I'd probably have to take San Francisco here. They play with a ton of heart. And realistically, I think that Michigan State lacks a true number 1 guy. So I will take the Dons to San Francisco. Villanova and Wagner. Villanova should kill them. For being 100%, there's no way Wagner should beat any of the 3 seeds if they ever matched up in this bracket. Iowa, Miami. Does Keegan Murray score 25 plus? If he does, yes. I think he very well could. I take the Hawkeyes. Kentucky over Jacksonville State. That was fast, but we're going to go quickly into every conference standing real quick because we have a few more minutes left on this timer, and we're going to start alphabetical order. American East. Heading into the conference tournament, you have the top 4 teams: Stony Brook 8-8 in conference, Albany 9-7, UMBC 9-7, and Vermont 15-1. Calumet should run away with this one. There's no other question about it. AAC, you see Houston, SMU, Memphis, Tulane. Realistically, I'd take SMU here. I know Memphis is battling. I mean, if I were to sit here and I look at Memphis' schedule, you have 2 wins in Wichita State and South Florida, which should come easy, and then you have Houston, which will be very difficult. They pull off the 3 wins, they're in the tournament. If they don't, it'll be a tough day to be a Memphis fan because they'll be right on the bubble. Moving into Atlantic 10. St. Bonnie, number 4. Dayton, 3. VCU, 2. Davidson, 1. I don't think anyone could stop Davidson besides a Dayton Flyers team, where Dayton could be turned red hot, take the bid, force Davidson into either a first four play-in or potentially nothing. I think realistically Davidson should still be in this tournament. However, we'll see. Moving into the ACC, the Atlantic Coast Conference. I'm not sure. He's looking at it from the Miami, UNC, Notre Dame, Duke level, top four teams. I think Virginia wants this bad. Is you're 17-11 overall. Your only two games left are Florida State and Louisville. You need this conference tournament win bad, or at least making it to the finals. I'd take the Cavaliers. I think just purely based off need, I think that they'd force their way in because everyone above them has it in. You move into the A-Sun. Jacksonville State, Bellarmine, Jacksonville, and Liberty are the top four teams. I'm not sure. And the whole reason behind that is Jacksonville State has very much impressed me so much this year. And I'm rooting for Bellarmine to win it. But I feel like Liberty is just going to pull through, clutch up, get the 16 seed, and move on with their day. Big 12. Well, you got Kansas in the lead right now. You got Baylor, Texas Tech, Texas following. Realistically, there's going to be 6 Big 12 teams. I want to say that Texas Tech wins the tournament. I feel like Baylor's going to come close. I think it's going to be between Baylor and Texas Tech. I'll take Tech here, but we're going to be doing a live stream the day before every single conference tournament starts, and we're going to predict the bracket. We're going to pull it up here on this stream. We're going to take probably 5 to 10, 15 minutes, however long, depending on the bracket, to go through each game. Should be fun. And then moving into the Big East, Providence, Villanova, UConn, Creighton, Marquette, Seton Hall, Xavier are the really only teams competing. I mean, maybe St. John's, but you know what? I'll throw a curveball here. I think Xavier wins the Big East tournament. I don't think it's going to be one of the top teams. Am I a fan of Xavier's team this year by a mile? Not really. But realistically, are they a good team and could make a run come March? Easily. I think that they could pull together 4 games where they're doing incredible. However, I think that if you're Xavier, you need to get 3 more wins from me to say you're officially in. Your final 3 games are Seton Hall, St. John's, and Georgetown. You beat those 3 teams. Seton Hall might be tougher. St. John's might be tougher. Can't afford a loss, in my opinion. If you get those 3 games, you're in a great spot. Then as we move into the Big Sky, Montana State, Weber State, and Southern Utah. Those are the only 3 teams I think that have a legitimate chance at winning this. I've been a huge fan of Southern Utah this year, but Montana State has been incredible. I don't think I've seen passion like Southern Utah fans have for their team, and besides maybe Grand Canyon. Then moving into the Big South, Longwood and Winthrop. I guess I'll go with Longwood. I don't want to go with the number 1 seed, but I guess I have to. Same with the Big Ten. I mean, Purdue. As long as they don't stress under having to play games back to back to back throughout the Big Ten tournament, although they will have a double bye, they should be in a good spot. But we'll see everything that happens with them. Moving into the Big West, I need to do more research on a lot of these tiny mid-majors. I'll take the 1 seed in Long Beach State. However, anything's possible. The Colonial, this is a conference where you had Drexel winning it last year. This is not a conference that you want to be enjoying basketball of as a fan if you want to see deep tournament runs. However, UNCW should definitely pull off this conference. Never know, though. Maybe Towson or UNCW. CUSA, I think UAB makes the run for it, but North Texas very well could. Realistically, Middle Tennessee, Western Kentucky, UAB, Louisiana Tech, all have great chances at this. Western Kentucky is such a defensive beast in their center. I forget his name, but he's like 7'4". It's insane. Horizon, it's Cleveland State fighting with Fort Wayne, Northern Kentucky, Wright State, Detroit Mercy, and Oakland. Hell, even Youngstown State you can throw in there. I'm probably going to go on I'll probably say Wright State just because they have the experience of Scott Nagy as their coach. Is that maybe favoritism? Sure, but Horizon League's unpredictable. Ivy League, Princeton wins it. Jalen Llewellyn's the best player in that conference. Best player on a major team should win it. The AA MAC, Iona barely scrapes by, in my opinion. It'll be tough. Every team wants to knock them off. However, we'll see what happens. The single A MAC, realistically, I see Ohio, Toledo, and Kent State as the only three. Could Buffalo rack and pull something crazy? Of course. I love Toledo. I'll say it there. I think Toledo has the best chance at winning this. I wish we could see a 2-bid MAC. I really do. But we will see. I mean, realistically, it'll be tough. But moving into the Mid-Eastern, Norfolk State should be the only team competing in that. Missouri Valley. Are we shocked? The same 4 teams that we projected earlier this year. Loyola, Northern Iowa, Missouri State, and Drake. A league that had potential for a 4-bid league, 3-bid league. Now down to 1. 2 if Loyola wins out the regular season and loses in the conference. I'll probably say Drake wins the conference, but it'll be tough. Mountain West, this is my favorite conference tournament. You have Boise State, Wyoming, Colorado State, San Diego State. All of those 4 teams are making the tournament. Then you add UNLV, Fresno State, Utah State, Nevada. All of those teams could make a run in the conference tournament. I'd take San Diego State to win the entire thing. Fresno State's my dark horse. And you know what? Moving in to the next game conference, which is going to have to be Wagner's in the Northeast. It's between them and Bryant. Wagner dropped an ugly one today to a team they shouldn't have in Farley Dickinson, but you never know. I think Wagner should. They should definitely pull out here. And then moving in to the Ohio Valley, Murray State seems unbeatable. I think that they'll drop the championship to a team like Morehead State, personally. Or we saw them beat Belmont today. It should very well be Murray State's conference to win, but they'll probably drop a stupid game, and that's what will end up happening. Pac-12, UCLA should definitely come through, or Arizona. I don't think USC will be able to, but my pick is UCLA. Patriot League, this is between Colgate and Navy. Colgate probably should win it, but you never know. SEC time, Auburn, Kentucky, Arkansas, Tennessee, Alabama all make the tournament. Same with LSU. And then you have South Carolina and Florida and Texas A&M. And they are all battling it out for a first 4 ticket, potentially. Florida at 7. Going through all the resumes of this team, And what they have left, South Carolina has Alabama, Missouri, and Auburn. They need to go 2-1 for me to say realistically they can get that bid. Florida, you have Georgia, Vanderbilt, Kentucky. You need to go 2-1. You already lost to Arkansas. It'll be tough, but they should make it. Texas A&M, Ole Miss, Alabama, Mississippi State. They need to go 3-0. Especially losing to Vanderbilt last Saturday. They need it bad. And then we move into the next conference. I'll probably say Kentucky wins it, but moving into the Southern Conference, I'll say Chattanooga wins it. I've been riding with Chattanooga the entire year. Southland, it's between New Orleans and Nicholls State. I'll take Nicholls State because why not? Southwestern Athletic, Texas State should win it. Summit League. South Dakota State has been on a tear. They're undefeated in conference. They're undefeated at home. If they were to lose, that would be very sad. Oral Roberts, I do not think will be able to get the job done. They're fourth in their conference for a reason right now, or technically tied for second, but it'll be tough. West Coast, Gonzaga should win it. And then you go to the WAC, where New Mexico State is competing with Seattle and Sam Houston. I think New Mexico State has it. And that's the episode. That's the show. Sorry it's a bit short tonight. My phone's about to die. My computer's about to die. So we're ending this short. Thank you, everyone who's tuned in. Good night. Make sure you check out our Twitter at ATR Madness and our Instagram at _Creating Madness, as well as our YouTube at Creating Madness. Thank you all for tuning in, and good night.